Hello everyone, I am Yubar Reingok. Because apparently someone couldn't pronounce my name in Fallout 76 the other day. So if you're watching this, Yubar Reingok. Not the point, not the point. Moving forward, Yubar, moving forward. Did I say moving forward? Shit. Whatever. Anyways, this thing has me. Moving forward, push on. So, the Lying Low quest line. Jesus. Okay. So, for those of you aware who are playing this game and also just happen to be watching this video, hi, how are you? Subscribe, like. Okay, self-promotion over. So, the Lying Low or the sheep, what was I about to say? The Sheep Squatch quest line. So, on April 9th, next week, we will be getting the Lying Low quest line. Or if you want to call it, like I've basically been seeing it called, the Sheep Squatch quest line. I was about to say sheep. What was that word I used? Anyways. So, the Lying Low quest line will be taking place all across Appalachia, as this picture suggests. Now, to be fair, I have no idea what all this entails. Nobody really does. There's been a lot of speculation on this, but this video is more about trying to inform you from when it starts, where you'll have to go, and things like that, because we actually do have some information to go off here. And this is just about talking about some things that they've gone ahead and told us to expect in patch 8 right now. Now, obviously, on patch 8, we will actually be getting more about this. We'll be learning more. Now, if you're watching this on April 2nd, there actually was a hot fix to fix some of the issues. One of the biggest ones to note, though, was the spawn issue inside of the survival mode. So, some of you might know about this, but when you fast travel or spawn at a certain location, you were supposed to have a shield to protect you. And it didn't work. That, or the loading time was too long for some players, or the shield time was just way too short. Whatever the case, players were getting spawn camped at fast travel locations like train stations, and it was a bad deal. There was spawn camping galore, and it ran rampant, and the trolls and others took advantage of this to an absurd level. There's been a number of complaints over this on Reddit, and I mean, I've just seen them everywhere. What's worse, though, is the amount of mocking and trolling and laughing that I've seen at players who are talking about this. And I'm personally one of them. So I posted one of my experiences, my very first survival experience with another player on this, where I got shot for saying hi to a guy who then stole all my shit. And I was terrified to go. This is like 4, maybe 5, somewhere in that area, days after the patch had come out. And I'd already seen all these stories pop up about it on Reddit. And I just like, okay, I don't want to go to the train station and just get killed by some player who may be waiting there. Fuck it, I hard quit the game. Only to come back and find out. Now, in the patch, it says a random number of items may be dropped. Of 8 items. All your junk items will be dropped, and a random number of 8 items. What I didn't know is that meant 9/10 of my 8 items would be dropped. Now, I posted about this on Reddit, and I got laughed at and mocked for it. This is obviously by some terrible people who did not care and thought this was hilarious, and probably, if they met me in survival, were going to go ahead and take advantage of me because it's funny. It's funny to make people angry and to be an asshole. No, it's not, and fuck you. There was one sympathizer in there who thought, look, this is bad that it happened to you, but it's good that you're trying to warn people about just how serious things are. Because, to be fair, I don't think anybody really understood going into it what the hell, like, some of this stuff meant. I sure as shit didn't. I didn't know I could lose 9/10 of my fucking 8 items on one death. Oh, and there was also a problem with the caps because I lost over 400 caps on my one death. It was supposed to be double your level, but I was level 93 at the time. I lost over 400 caps. That is horseshit. So, there was obvious problems with this, and they're apparently hotfixing this today, since I'm recording this literally at 12:48 a.m. of today, of the 2nd. So this will hopefully all be fixed, but honestly, I'm going to avoid getting on survival from here on out because it is just a cesspool. And if any of the comments I've seen on any of these different threads in the subreddit where all these people are getting mocked and laughed out and outright just basically abused, it's not okay. Anyways, the point is, if you are a regular player, do not get into survival. Bethesda, if you just so happen to watch this video and make it past this part where I've talked about this, let me go ahead and put something out there for you. It's one idea. It's not about adjustments to survival. It's one idea. You are currently doing a thing where players have to go into survival to get a special, unique piece of gear or a weapon. And this is a weekly thing. And now I have actually no problem with that. Doing these weekly quest lines where you can earn a rare piece of thing and it's only available for that week. That I am fine with. You're having players log on, trying to do this, and it's actually a pretty complicated thing. For the first week, you had to kill 25 legendaries. That's not an easy thing to do. I know, because I've been trying to do it. And I'm hitting places where these guys farm, but it was specific. You couldn't just kill someone who had legendary in it. They had to have stars, and not a lot of places have that. And this involves a lot of server hopping, and you may get lucky, you may not. And I'm going to tell you, I got up to 8, I think, over basically 4 or 5 days before I got that kill and just have decided to not go back to survival before I died that time. And what I would change is don't just make that a survival only thing. That benefits them, not the regular players who don't want to get involved with that. In fact, you harm those players. You're basically telling them, we care more about the trolls who are going to kill people right now than we do all the players. You're trying to force people to go into survival where it's just an absolute cesspool. And where most of the cesspool-like players, your most toxic, trolling, asshole players are going to go. And nobody wants to deal with them. They're going to stay in adventure mode. So you need to make this fair and make it so it's across the board, not just survival. If you make it so it's just survival, you are alienating an entire section of your players. Because nobody wants to deal with the cesspool and trying to hide and run from them. It's not okay. Now, all that's said and done, I got my frustrations and my everything else out for the survival mode. That was it. Now, let's talk about patch 8. I know, it took us a while to get here. I apologize. So, on April 9th, we'll be getting 2 different features. Now, this is kind of an overload. Mostly in favor of the new quest line. Now, don't get me wrong, I think this is great, doing this quest line. You're hunting the cryptid. That is awesome. And there's a mystery. There's been talk about puzzles and other things. We'll get more into this as we go, but I want to address what all we're supposed to, at least, expect with this. First, let's look at the roadmap, because it tells us that on April 9th, we'll be getting the cryptid quest line, the sheep squatch one. But there's also something else that hasn't been mentioned recently that has me a bit worried. But it was said in the roadmap that on April 9th we would also get player vending. So what that means is that we, the players, will now be able to set up shops in our camps. This means it's a lot more important to have your camp in an important place if you want to sell stuff. I personally have my camp in an absolute shitty spot. Look, I plugged this spot. I plugged this spot in a previous Fallout 76 video. My first one, actually, which was a guide to the Drinking Quest one. And I'm going to be honest. My spot's shitty. Look, the camp spot I'm in right now is literally between Quarry X3, that fucking Cranberry Forest, and the Abandoned Bog Town. Right here off of 65. And there's a junk spot and there's a steel farming spot. I like this spot because it wasn't that bad. I'm going to be honest. Because I was right here next to a toga. I was right here just in a nice spot where I could go and get cranberries, I could go and get water, I could go up or down. It was a nice little spot that was right next to a big road that a lot of players actually do travel, and I've actually had people come by and shop at my place, and it's been nice. But it's an absolute shit spot, and I'm thinking of moving, so I don't know. Come the update, when this updates, I will have a new spot where I can tell you guys, hey, here's where my camp's set up. Come visit, shop, whatever. Anyways, back to the stuff. I know, I keep getting sidetracked. I'm sorry. There was a lot I wanted to try and cover, and it's just kind of steamrolling at this point, but we're gonna keep going. Anyways, we're steamrolling through this. Snowballing is the word I was looking for anyway. Anyways, can you tell I forgot to write a script for this and I'm just recording as I go? Kind of obvious, I think. Moving forward. So, we should be getting player vending. Now, what this supposedly means is that we will be able to set up little shops. Now, what this means, a vending shop or whatever, or different types of vending shops, I personally don't know. It's supposed to mean that whatever we have that we want to sell, we can put in the shop. Now, there's a question that we need to ask here, and that is, do whatever we put in shops count toward our stash, or do they not? This is a question that hasn't really been asked, and that only I really am now thinking of, to be honest. It's a bit weird, but it's one that does deserve some thought, because if it also affects your stash, you get why that's not a good thing. Because it's also affecting your stash, so you could be pretty limited in what you put in there. But, if it doesn't, if it has its own thing or whatever, or it doesn't matter how much you put in, that's actually a really good thing. Now, I don't suspect it will not have its own limit, but if it's not connected to the stash, and it's its own thing, how much? 200, 400 pounds? I don't know, and to be honest, nothing really has been said on it since the, announcement of the roadmap. It's kind of weird, but we'll see. We'll see if player vending does become a feature on April 9th or not. Again, I haven't seen mention of it, and it kind of worries me. Another feature that actually is coming that has been confirmed is we can finally customize our gear with item renaming. Finally! Look. I really want to rename some of my stuff because it makes it easier to find amongst, the long list of, oh, well, this is a night vision, blah, 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 pipe rifle or whatever. Okay, that's nice. It's a long name. Now I can just shorten it down to, fuck you. What? I get to have a bat called Fuck You. Actually, no, I'm going to call it Negan's bat because, fuck yeah, why not? I'm going to have Lucille. Anyways, the way this is supposed to work, at least according to the post, is that when you use the inspect option and view whatever the item is in your Pip-Boy, you can then select rename. You can then enter whatever name you want, and that will take the place of the item's default name in your inventory. Now you can rename things as many times as you like, but your custom names will not transfer with the item when viewed by or transferred to another player. Kind of sad that I can't show off Lucille to anyone, and it's just going to say barbed wire, blah, 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 basically that. But hey, at least we're going to be able to name our own shit. Now, there was one thing to be noted about vending, and this was about the vending factions. Specifically, so as many players probably know by now, there's different vendor factions. You have the Responders, the Raiders, the Enclave, the White Springs. You have the Brotherhood of Steel, the Unique Watoga Graham one, Harper's Valley with the Free States. You have 7. Basically, what this thing is saying about the vendors is that it will not be 200 per anymore. They will all have a pool of 1,400 caps, which is great. That means you don't have to keep going from vendor to vendor to try and get different things. You're not wasting your caps traveling from here to here to here to here. It's now when you go to that one vendor, there is a pool of 1,400 caps just waiting for you to pull from it. That is fantastic. But it goes further than that by adding different factions vendors to the White Springs. Yes, and if you actually go in the White Springs, you may have noticed at some point that there were counters that didn't have anyone manning them. Well, I can only assume now these counters will be used for these different faction vendors. So you can go in there and you'll find a Raider vendor, you'll find a Responders vendor, you'll find a Free State, an Enclave. You'll be able to find all these vendors and peruse their different weapons and plans and all of that, all at the White Springs. So this will help to reduce fast travel, hopefully give us a player hub where we can all come together and continue to trade and do whatever else, as well as giving us this pool that we don't have to constantly travel around to different vendors and pull from. Now it's all in one spot. This is fantastic and a huge, what's the word I'm looking for here? Quality of life improvement. There's also been a note about the turret damage adjustments. Now this one I think it's best for me just to read straight from it this time, because it's kind of weird one, at least to me. Mostly because I don't use turrets that much. Anyways, with patch 8, the turrets that you can build in your camp or at workshops are going to receive a few changes that will help them feel more dangerous. Turrets will now be affected by player PvP damage rules, which feature increased base damage and damage scaling. This means they will not be able to kill players in one shot, but this will also prevent them from dealing trivial damage. Additionally, turret attack ranges will now match those of players' weapons. These changes should help your defenses pose a bigger and more consistent threat against any attackers who come knocking. So let's break this down. Because again, I'm not a big turret guy. I don't use them that often, but a lot of players do. So, turrets will now be affected by the player PvP damage rules. So, if a player comes over and he damages you and you fight back in adventure mode, those turrets will now do a bit more damage than they were before, depending on what you have. Rockets, whatever. Now, they won't be able to kill those players in one shot, thank God, for once, something that's not killing another player in one shot. But they also aren't going to do too little damage. Where this really comes in is when it comes to your enemies. So, the thing to note here, the turret attack ranges will now match those of players' weapons. That's complicated. What exactly does that mean? Does that mean my most long-reaching weapon is now how far my turrets will reach? I don't exactly know what that precisely means. What I do know is that turrets were actually pretty limited in their range, and just understand this. So I have a missile turret on my current camp. Now from a distance, they don't do anything. It's not until the enemy gets within a certain range that they will finally start to attack. An enemy can attack them from much further away and do damage to them. It's not good. However, should that enemy enter that range, the turrets will then lock onto them and begin to fire at them, and even if they move back out of what the range was, they will continue to follow them until they are A, dead, or actually no, just dead. Because they still fire. I know this because I've chased one around a freaking building and the missiles were still going. It was rocky. So hopefully this means that the ranges of these weapons will now be a lot better, and so enemies can't just simply attack them from so far away that they're basically useless like they have been. And finally, we talk about Line Low, or the Sheep Squatch quest line. And I will also be making a guide video to go through it, but I will be doing a playthrough of it as well. Not a full playthrough, like I just let the camera roll. I'll make sure to edit it and cut out the boring parts, like wherever you have to wait for me to load into a place. But for all intents and purposes, you will be getting two different kinds of videos with this. One straight shot through this, as best as I can, and maybe be broken up into 1 or 2 parts, or however many, and then just a straight guide that just gets through the nitty gritty of it. The playthrough version is supposed to be so everybody knows exactly what steps I took, while the guide is just supposed to kind of walk you through it quickly. Anyways, what we know is that this will begin in Lewisburg, and there are going to be posters left behind by a woman named Shelley Van Lowe. She's looking for her brother, and she believes the Sheep Squatch ate him. I don't know why she thinks that either, but sure. So, Calvin, her brother, disappeared before the Great War, and she's looking for him. Now, these Sheep Squatch posters can be found either in a train station, or they can be found in Lewisburg, or when this comes out, you'll actually be able to get the poster for free in the Atomic Shock and post it in your own camp. Now, I actually really like that. I like when they do stuff like that. However, if you're happening to watch this after that time, yeah, you're going to have to go find them. Now, the specific line that says, when it talks about this in this update, this Inside the Vault, is, to unravel this mystery, you will need to chase every lead you can scrape together, solve puzzles, and separate monsters from myths as you explore who or what may still be lurking around Appalachia, waiting for its next victim. So, let's break this down. This is supposed to be a quest that has a lot of mystery in it. Now, to be fair, when it comes to solving it yourself in a Bethesda game, it's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's absolute shit, sometimes it doesn't even really do it. Actually, that's most of the time. Most of the time, it's just like, yeah, here's a quest marker. Anyways, so, one thing is that you should note is at one point it does talk about solving puzzles. Now, this could just be, oh, well, you're basically doing all the same things, and we'll give you the quest marker. Or it could legitimately mean there are puzzles to solve. That would be an interesting take, and would be something interesting to add in. Like, you have to figure out certain elements of this itself. Maybe they actually went full bore on this and made it so you really are having to solve a mystery and attempt to figure things out for yourself, which would be amazing and difficult, and I love it. But, I don't know. But if they did, it would be awesome. What we do know right now is that you can go to Lewisburg and look around, which I did. So what we do know, though, is that this does start in Lewisburg, which is where it first starts. But if you take a look at the map that they give us in the picture, we see a bit more. There's actually one dot that goes all the way up to a new vault, Vault 51. This was added in a earlier patch and didn't have a number until recently, but now it's there. Could we be going there? There's also a bunch of different areas, and if you look at the map or you go online, you can actually see where people have actually drawn to where all these different areas and what all these mean, where it leads to, why it's there, yada yada. But there is one final note I would like to leave you all with. Now, during PAX East, Todd Howard actually made a frickin' appearance. I know. Unbelievable. I could talk more about what I thought about that all, but we're going to move past some of it. and just get to something he did talk about. The fact that he actually confirmed that yes, there would be high-level dungeons, which we all knew because of the roadmap trailer. But something he said made a lot of people think we were all wrong. See, we all knew that they were coming. In fact, in the 100 Days roadmap, there was even a point where it talks about how in the nuclear winter, which is coming in the summer, we'll be getting the 2 new vault raids, Vault 96 and 94. Awesome! Fantastic! We're looking forward to these new vault raids. We knew they were coming at some point. What we didn't expect when we saw this, because despite everything else we looked up in here, everything we were given, we didn't exactly know where some of the things in this video were. Like, it looked like there was a big old vault raid going on. Is that coming sooner? Nobody really knew. We knew from the 100 Days thing that there were 2 coming in summer. However, while at PAX East, when Todd Howard was talking about this, and let me be clear, a lot of people thought this would probably be coming towards the tail end of Wild Appalachia. But it turns out, thanks to Todd Howard, we may have all been completely wrong, and it's actually coming this patch. Yeah, one of the places we saw, and has been highly speculated, was Arctos Pharma. I've been there once and never want to go back because, Jesus Christ, it was a maze. But one of the things that we believe might be happening is that there's going to be some underground base underneath Arctos Pharma. And here's the kicker. When Todd Howard was on stage, he talked about this, making it sound like it was going to come this update, patch 8. And if that's true, that's amazing. Will it tie into the Sheep Squatch thing? Will it not? Nobody knows. But since he talked about it, a lot of the speculation over this has gone apeshit. Is it coming out this patch? Is it coming out a later patch? Nobody knows, but everybody's excited because now it sounds like everybody was wrong. It's actually going to be here sometime probably this month. So, on April 9th, you may be able to explore at least one high-level raid dungeon that could take place under Arctos Pharma. As far as Vault 51, I don't know yet. There's been no mention of that. In fact, there was no mention when it was added to the game. We've heard nothing else about this. Could we possibly go there? Could this map be saying that we're going to be going there and our search for the Sheep Squatch? We don't know. But whatever you want to take from this, there are a couple things. First, we are getting the new quest line, Lying Low. We're going to be hunting the Sheep Squatch. How long will it be? I don't know. But I do think it will be fun. We'll be able to name our items now. A quality of life update with the vendors making it a lot easier for us to get these cabs and not have to go flying around all over Appalachia for them. Turret damage will also be adjusted, and hopefully range will be increased so I don't have to try and lure enemies in to get my fucking turrets to shoot at them. We may or may not be getting a high level raid dungeon. I don't know. We may or may not. It wasn't specified, but Todd Howard made it sound like it was coming, and coming very soon. We're also supposed to expect player vending with this upcoming patch. Will we get it? I don't know. They haven't said anything more about it, which makes me kind of worried that they've had to pull back on it and just haven't told us. Or maybe they just forgot to mention it in all these posts, and we're just like, when it comes up here on the 9th, they're going to be like, shit, we forgot to talk about that, and players really wanted that. Whoops, we should have said more about that, shouldn't we? Oh, well, they got the patch notes. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you had fun watching and listening to me bumble through this, I know. I should have wrote a script like I normally do, but I'm too tired and it's 1 in the morning, so whatever. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I look forward to the April 9th patch. I hope you guys too. But thank you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Later. Hello everyone, I'm Yubar Reingok. And welcome to this guide to becoming the new brewmasters of the West Virginia Wasteland. So, the Wild Appalachia... DLC? Expansion? Whatever you want to call it, Wild Appalachia has started in Fallout 76. And the first part to be added is a short quest that gives players the equipment to begin brewing their own alcohol. There are a few new camp items that have been added, including a poster